Yo, so today we got a question from a bro who's carrying a heavy load and he wants to let go, but he's afraid that will make him lazy and irresponsible. Before we get into that, though, if you're looking for some clarity or direction on your situation, or just another brother to hold space for you while you allow your own revelation to come through, then you know what to do. Book a session with me, your old Uncle E, by clicking the link down below. So today's question goes, yo, Elliott, why does life feel so damn hard? I feel like I'm constantly trying to figure everything out, my career, my money, my family, my future, what God wants me to do. No matter how much I work on myself, there's always something else I need to fix. I'm exhausted from feeling like everything depends on me. How do I stop carrying all this without becoming lazy or irresponsible? Great question, man. And you begin by asking, why does life feel so damn hard? And I'm beginning to believe that life feels hard because we make it hard. Life is hard because we're trying to do it. Like nothing in nature tries to do itself except humans. Even your statement, I work on myself, and there's always something to fix. I wonder, like, we're made in the likeness and image of God. That's what the Bible says. So why is it that through God, trees just grow? No problem. Grass just grows. No problem. Birds fly and eat worms. No problem. There doesn't seem to be any problem in nature except for the one that has the likeness and image implanted on it, imprinted on it. Why is that? I think it's because we get a sense of pleasure. We get a sense of importance when we complicate things, when we make things more difficult than they need to be, because then it gives us this godlike sense, like it stimulates that imago Dei, or that image of God in us that says, I'm going to come to the rescue and I'm going to create, I'm going to make, I'm going to force, I'm going to manifest, they'd say. And then it all depends on us. That is the sure recipe for making yourself crazy because you made yourself into a god. Nowhere else in nature does a creation pretend like it's a creator except in the human mind. And it's not even just the human itself. It's in the human mind because your heart's not trying to beat. Your digestive system's not trying to break down, assimilate, digest, and distribute nutrients throughout your body. Your hair is not thinking about how to grow. Mine is thinking really hard how to grow. It's trying, right? But your hair just grows. Your nose just knows. You don't have to try to smell, right? The point is that all of the most important biological processes in your body that keeps you alive, the very sustaining force in your life, you don't do. You didn't even create yourself. You didn't even make yourself. Why do you think that you can make your life? And listen, I'm not making fun of you. I'm saying, like, I get it too. I'm in your same shoes. And I'm sure a lot of us are too. Life is hard when we make it hard. But the Bible says it should be easy. I mean, for instance, Jesus Christ says, come all of you who are heavy burdened and laboring, and I will give you peace. My yoke is light and my burden is easy. How is it that Jesus Christ can be so confident that life is easy if we just put on his yoke? And what is this yoke that we have to carry anyway? It sounds like another thing to do. Like you say, I'm worried about my career, money, family, future, and then what God wants me to do. The whole God situation then becomes another thing to do. We do spirituality. We do religion. We do Christianity. So you got to do that on top of your career, your money, your family, your future. It's just one more burden. But the burden should be light. And it's not light because we make it more complicated than it has to be. We're making all these things far more complicated than it has to be when there is a simplicity in God. Just like there's a simplicity in nature, there's a complexity, there's an incredible majesty, but it's all born out of very simple simplicity. And let me prove it to you. So throughout the Bible, there are just a handful of verses that really describe what it is we're supposed to do. What do we do? What are we supposed to do? Following our series on abandonment and divine providence in chapter 3, Father de Caussade quotes Ecclesiastes, where it says, "Fear God and keep the commandments. This is the whole duty of man." The entire duty of man. Now, slow down for a moment and think about that. Not only is that confusing, it is not pleasing at all. Because if fear and following is what I'm called to do, then where is my active participation in life? If you read this for its face value, you might just say that I do nothing in life, but sit around fearfully trembling, waiting for God to tell me what to do. Or being legalistic about what this book tells me to do. I'm going to read this Bible and I'm going to do everything the Bible tells me to do. That's a surefire way to go crazy. Let's go back to the statement and see where it's pointing. Fear God. If this is all our duty is, not career, not money, not family, not future, not trying to figure out a whole bunch of shit, not trying to fix yourself or work on yourself, fear God. What does that actually look like? What does that actually mean? Because read for face value, you might think that it's an emotion, meaning that there is some sort of a feeling and a context associated with it, right? Fear, like terror, right? I'm terrorized. I'm feeling horrified by God. Why would I want to do that when I'm already freaking out and I'm afraid about losing my wife, losing my home, losing my health? There's a whole bunch of other shit I got to do. A whole bunch of other stuff I got to take care of. Now I got to fear you with some abstract God. But let's break down what fear actually is minus any context. Fear is a simple physiological response that zeroes our focus in on something that is important. So for example, my dog will just be walking, chilling, hanging out with me. And then all of a sudden something will catch his nose or his eyes and he will just tighten up, ears go up, and he's focused on it. And there's nothing I can do in many instances to get him to start paying attention to me again. He's focused on the thing that he's fearing, right? One of my dogs caught or saw an alligator out in my yard. We were walking one day where there was a 9-foot alligator. Now, I didn't even see it, but my dog peeked up, her ears went up, her sniffer started sniffing, and she was zeroed in on this potentially dangerous situation. So it's a physiological response. But the part that's important is how our focus narrows. When you're afraid, when there's fear, there's nothing else. If you're afraid that you're not going to be able to pay your bills, you know what you're thinking about all the time? How I can pay my bills. If you're afraid that your wife is going to leave you, you know what you're focused on all the time? All the things my wife are doing. You're going to pay a lot of attention to her. If you're afraid that your children are lying to you, what you're going to do? You're going to listen a little bit closer. You're going to watch a little bit closer. You're going to be more engaged with what's happening. I tend to think that if we take the word fear and use it or recognize it for what it actually is saying, physiological, intense focus, it starts making a lot more sense. Now, if you're old version of me, or how some people can be, you'll think that fear God means, well, that means I need to read the Bible. That means I need to go to mass every day. I need to do a bunch of prayers. I need to do a bunch of rosaries. I need to do a bunch of novenas. I need to go and evangelize. I need to go and convert the savages. A whole bunch of shit that you're supposed to do. A whole bunch of stuff that we make up. A whole bunch of stuff that we've been conditioned or programmed to believe will give us what we're looking for. But the truth is that fear in this context, the focus of the physiological processes onto something very specific, is as simple as paying attention to what's happening in front of you. What's happening in your life? What is present in the moment? To fear God means I'm perked up, I'm listening, I'm watching. And I think watching is a better way to describe it. A lot of times we're like, I can't hear God. And I think it's a little bit too abstract because we're hoping to have our eardrums stimulated with frequencies and booming sounds in our eardrum. But seeing is often so much more evident. It's so plain. It's so right in front of you. Hearing can get complicated. There might need to be some deciphering. Seeing is believing. You see it, and that's what it is. To fear God. Now, a part of this has to mean that we have the faith that God has put us exactly where we're supposed to be. And in every moment, in every day, in every situation and circumstance, that's exactly where we're supposed to be. And that is the truth. There's no mistaking God. Where you find yourself with all this trouble is exactly where you're supposed to be, except you're not seeing clearly because you're in your imagination. You're in the stories and the narratives that the world has told you about what you're supposed to do and be. But God just says, fear me. Where is he to fear? But in the tree, in the grass, in the responsibility of the moment, brushing your teeth, making your bed. If you have children, care for them. If you got a wife, be there for her. If you have a job, go to your job. All of these things are there for us to steward, but we steward them not with our will, not with our work, not with our force, not with our worry, not with our intensity, but with the grace that God gives you in order to fulfill the duty that he gave you. Fearing God is very simple when you open your eyes and you do what he's telling you to do right in front of you from day to day. Following the commandments. Follow the commandments, it says. What are the commandments? They're all very simple. It's all very simple. Don't kill anybody. Don't adulter. Right? Don't cheat. Don't lie. Don't steal. But the very first of the commandments, the one that really ties it all home and the one that we really fail at first so that all the others are just born out of ego, have no other gods but me. One God, not two, not three. It's not God and me. There's only one power. There's one God. And when I recognize that, I can rest the same way this tree does and be as fruitful, as bountiful as the fruit tree. Fruit tree ain't doing anything. I'm looking at this. I have a magnolia tree that I'm looking at right now. I've been living here going on 6 years. I'm looking at this tree just freaking grows. It gets bigger and bigger. I'm gonna have to cut back some of the branches, but it's just popping with life. There are big fruits on it. I don't know what they are, but they're like some kind of seeds. They're like big and fluffy. If you're magnolia. And they also give big, beautiful white flowers. They give big, beautiful white flowers. But they're not doing anything. The tree's not doing anything. The tree is just hanging out, doing what it's supposed to do. Meaning, what does a tree do? It roots, it sucks up the nutrients that were given to it, and it reaches for the sky, for the sun that it didn't make rise. The tree didn't say, okay, it's about time for the sun to rise because I gotta grow, so sun, come on. Where are you? Let's go. No. The tree doesn't say, well, I need some fertilizer. So I'm going to get out there and I'm going to go fertilize. I'm going to go make some fertilization. No. The tree just sits and waits. And what it needs is given to it. It's all just given to it. It just sucks it up from the ground. Everything that you need in order to reach high for the sky, to bloom like this tree, is given to you and me from the roots and for the sky. Supply. Career and money are the first two things that you mentioned here. Family and future are the next. What are career and money? Career and money are root issues, meaning safety and security, survival. If we believe that our survival is dependent on us or a power outside of God, we have sinned against the first commandment. Not recognizing that all supply comes not from your job. Your job is not your supply. Your job might be a means by which God supplies for you. And God can change means like you change t-shirts, but there's only one source. Money. Money is not a power unto itself. Money only receives power because we've made it a sacrament, meaning we make it more sacred than it actually is. Money is a symbol for the supply that is ever circulating. Just like there is supply in your body, what is ever circulating but your blood? And what is your blood doing? It's circulating nutrients to go to your organs and to make you healthy and strong. Money is no different. Just like with the blood, it's representative. It's a metaphor. It's a currency of God's supply. Everything in the world is a shadow of God's truth. The current of the ocean, of the river, is like God's ever moving, producing current of love and grace in your life. Everything that we see in nature is a representation of a divine law. So it's not up to you to try to figure out everything and to make your career or to struggle for money. It is for you to fear God by doing what's in front of you. And you will see supply be added by doing just what's in front of you. Simple story from me. One that you can relate to because you probably know me if you've been watching me for some time. I've been on YouTube since 2007. I just showed up one day and turned on a camera and started talking. I had no goals, no dreams, no ambitions, didn't even know that the thing could pay me. But I knew that I liked talking in front of the camera, and I knew that my clients could benefit from the workout videos that I was giving them. Not supply, not looking for supply. It wasn't a career. It wasn't to make money. It was literally to share. And in that sharing, an accident happened. I call it an accident, but it was God's grace. As ignorant as I am about most things technology, I didn't know that you could get paid. So in 2012, I discovered there's a YouTube partner thing, and all I got to do is flip a switch, and money just started coming. I had worked so hard to make, say, $10,000 a month when I was very young, to as grace started to carry things and I was just doing what was in front of me, I realized there was a switch, I turned it on, and then that tripled, quadrupled. And the money just started pouring in. I didn't do anything different. I just received what God meant for me. But as I became self-conscious, became aware, started becoming a God of my own mind, in my own mind, I started doing things, manipulating things, trying to force things, create things, setting goals. Oh, if I can make $20,000 a month by making videos every day, what if I added this to it? I made these more videos, created more, and all of it, as I started creating, as I started trying to figure it all out on my own, as I started to grab the steering wheel of my life, as they say, grab the steering wheel of your life, I started screwing it up. And the grace became less and less and less. It's just divine law. Why should God help me if I'm busy helping myself? The more I help myself, the more I try to figure things out, the more I try to work on myself, and I get exhausted because I think everything depends on me, the less God can guide me, the less grace is in my life. There is a beautiful analogy given by Saint Teresa of Lisieux. And she has a spirituality they call the little way. The little way. And she talks about how if you want to be carried by God's grace, it is better to behave, it's better to act, it's better to be humble like a baby, be like a child rather than an adult. And I think about this because I have children. And when my children, so I have different age children, when the children start getting older and they want to be held, they want to be picked up, right? I'm a little less inclined to do so, right? Because it's like, well, you were fine earlier. You were running around doing whatever you want to do. You were making all your own decisions. You were talking back when I was asking you to do something. And look at you. You're a big girl now. You don't need me. And she would reach up. Like, no, you're going to walk. But the little one that can't do any of those things, can't do anything. It can just kind of toddle around, not running around, not causing trouble, not making its own way, not making its own decisions, not being a big girl, but just a dumb baby. As soon as the dumb baby walks up to me and goes like this, it doesn't even need to say a word. Father knows. Father wants to pick you up because you're so simple, because you're so small, because all you did was reach for me. Oh, and the Father wants to pick you up. That is the difference between being a big boy trying to create your own life, trying to be your own God, trying to figure things out on your own, trying to fix yourself and exhausting yourself, and being a simple childlike that reaches up. I don't know what to do. I don't know anything. I can't do this. I can't figure this out. I'm a retard. The older I've gotten, the more wisdom I've gained, the more retarded I realize I am. Isn't that strange? I become simpler, stupider, less ambitious. Dare I say, lazy and irresponsible. Oh, because when I'm not responsible, God is. And I've never been responsible. I thought I was responsible because it is so pleasing to the ego to be responsible because it makes me feel like a big boy, but there's no grace. So my man, when life begins to feel hard, begin to recognize the truth that there is only one power, and that power is moving through you and moves you and will give you the supply that you need to carry your family and your future. Let's go back, career and money, root issues, family and future, fruit issues. When the root is taken care of, the fruits just produce. You don't have to do anything for your family or your future. Your family, here's a crazy one. Khalil Gibran reminded me of this in his book, The Prophet. Your children aren't even your children. Your children aren't even your children. They just came through you, and now you steward. But it's not your job to make your children become anything or to do anything or to be somebody. That's God's responsibility. It's not even your responsibility to keep your children alive. God's responsibility is to keep your children alive. Your responsibility is very simple: to do the duties of the day. Do what's in front of you. That's all we got to do. That is the whole of the law, the whole duty of man. Fear God, do what's in front of you, what you see, and keep the commandments. Number one, which is God is not me. It's too simple. It's too simple. So I'm going to round this out by reading a little bit from Divine Providence, Abandonment to Divine Providence, because it totally nails the understanding of what it is that we're actually required to do. And it isn't to save yourself, dude, or to fix yourself, or to make yourself anything, or to stress yourself out trying to hold it all together. Listen, would to God that all men could know how very easy it would be for them to arrive at a high degree of sanctity. You can become the strongest version of yourself. You can become the holy version of yourself. You can become the version of yourself that is the byproduct of God's perfect blueprint for your life. He says, they would only have to fulfill the simple duties of Christianity and their state of life. Simple duties of Christianity. Stay within the sacraments. pray every day. Right? Simple things. And prayer isn't like you have to work hard for prayer. The prayer of Mary in the story of Martha and Mary is just sitting quietly at his feet. Like I said earlier, we tend to take Christianity and turn it into a hustle, a holy hustle. It becomes another career. It becomes another job I got to do. They're simple. Would they know that all they have to do is fulfill the simple duties of Christianity and their state in life? What is your state? Your state is where you are, right? What state are you in, right? We say that in America because we're the United States, but every person is a state unto himself. I'm in a state of explaining and of teaching and of sharing, right? That's the state. That's the state I'm in. I'm in a state of husband. I'm in a state of father, right? So fulfill the duties of your state. You don't have to even create your state. Just like you don't create your emotional state. You don't create your physiological state. Your physiological state is created. You do your part. God does his. You eat the food, right? Because this is not about not doing anything. And we'll talk about, that's why he says you got to do your state. You got to do your duties. I eat the food, but chomping food doesn't do anything. It just prepares it for God's work. I don't digest my food. I bite and I chew. I do my job. He does his. That's the way it is with everything. Man puts in his part. Look, even divine providence. If man fulfills his part, God will do the rest. Grace being bestowed only on the condition of in the marvels it affects beyond comprehension of man. In other words, God will do it and you don't have to rationalize it. You don't even have to understand how it's going to happen. I don't understand how food is digested in my body. I don't understand how I get stronger in the gym. I lift the weight. I do my part. But I didn't make myself stronger. I put the input. Our duty is to put the input, right? He goes on. To embrace with submission the crosses belonging to that state. There are crosses belonging to every state. If you're married, there are crosses. You have children, there are crosses. You have a career, there are crosses. He says, so all you have to do is submit to the crosses belonging to that state and to submit with faith and love to the designs of providence in all those things that have to be done or suffered without going out of their way to seek special occasion for themselves. Meaning, don't make things more complicated for yourself. Don't go seek special things to do. Just do what's in front of you. And when the crosses come, breathe through them. Crosses are there for us to bear them. What does Jesus Christ even say? He says, pick up your cross and carry me. He doesn't say reject the cross. He doesn't say fix the cross. He doesn't say make the cross like we like to do. We like to make our own crosses. He doesn't say chop down the cross. He says just bear it, carry it. Okay. I'm having a problem with my child. Bear it, deal with it. Not fix it, breathe through it, carry it, carry it. Carrying something is very different than fixing something. What else did he say? Without making occasion for yourself, and don't create crosses for yourself. This is the spirit by which the patriarchs and prophets were animated and sanctified before there were so many systems of so many masters of the spiritual life. It was a lot simpler then. He says, this is the spirituality of all ages and of every state. No state of life can, assuredly, be sanctified in a more exalted manner, nor in a more wonderful and easy way than by the simple use of the means that God, the sovereign director of all souls, gives them to suffer at each moment. Abandonment to the moment. Abandonment to divine providence. Be small, think small, take small steps. The grandiosity and the complexity that gives you anxiety, purely from our ego, the enemy. Done.